Hi everyone, going to do a quick video on how to change oil in a 2016 Toyota Highlander V6. This will probably work on a 2014-15 as well with the new cartridge style. You'll need a drain pan, a rag, some oil gaskets for your oil nut on the oil pan, the actual Toyota part. There's the number listed. That's the actual paper element. You'll need an oil filler funnel, a 3/8" socket wrench, 15/16 socket, a 14mm socket for a special tool I'll describe in a minute, an extension, possibly 3/8 extension, and a torque wrench to tighten down, to torque down the oil drain area on the cartridge housing and the oil nut for the drain pan. Some gloves will also help just to keep the oil off your hands doing the job. Okay, the oil part itself, this part here, 15/16, that's the socket needed to do this. This is the actual part that I got from Amazon. If you just search for Toyota 640, you'll find it. It's like 10 bucks, I think. That removes the actual cartridge housing from the vehicle, which is needed during the oil drain, oil process. Here's the actual filter that comes with the parts that come with the filter from the Toyota part. It's actual some O-rings, two O-rings, smaller and larger one. Got a drain for the oil drain, I'll explain a little later, and the actual paper element that comes with it. So the new Toyotas take the 0W20 oil, get your car up on jack stands and secure the back wheels. This kind of shows the new housing, the 3/8" socket spot right in the middle there. That allows you to drain the housing itself, and then surrounding that is the actual housing that mates to the vehicle. You don't need to remove anything to get access to these parts at all, so it's really easy to access. So let's take the drain plug off and drain the oil, and then start working on draining the oil from the oil filter housing. Okay, so carefully remove the oil drain nut and drain the oil. This obviously helps the engines under normal operating temperatures make it flow better. Go ahead and drain the oil out of the main pan. So once your oil's drained, you can move on to the oil filter drain. This is where the 3/8" extension might be needed, but you just stick it in the center there and loosen the center disc. That allows that cartridge area to drain a little bit. Not much will come out here at all, just maybe a teaspoon at most. But you just loosen that up, come unscrews from the center, maybe a couple of drops. Have your pan ready to get any piece as that falls out. But again, it won't be very much. And you'll be able to see the O-ring, one of the O-rings that you'll be replacing as well, that's on the filter housing. There you can see the black O-ring. That's the smaller of the two. Okay. Okay, so once the drain plug is removed, you can use that plastic piece that's one of the parts that comes with the filter. I got myself a tube to actually bring it down into the drain pan and just attach to it. It actually has a lip there made for a tube, so it might help you keep it cleaner. But essentially that little plastic thing sticks up in there and locks. It doesn't screw or anything. You just push it up in there and you'll see the oil draining out from the main cartridge housing. Quite a bit comes out, but the tube helps out a lot. Here's a little close-up of that vinyl tubing that I added to the part. You can see the little lips there that cause it to connect to the housing. The O-ring came off when I pulled it off after draining it. So that's again the smaller of the two O-rings that you'll need to replace with the part that comes in the box. Okay, before I removed it, I made some index marks with a Sharpie. I actually went back and did them with a Dremel scribing tool as well, permanently, just so I know where the housing was initially lined up with the vehicle mating surface. I did this just to give me some idea. I couldn't find the torque spec on this particular part, but I figured getting it back to what its original position was and feeling confident that it was nice and snug was good enough. Might be able to find the torque spec somewhere. So again, here's the special housing removal tool, got on Amazon, 15/16 head, and that basically allows you to remove the cartridge housing from the body. Okay, so now you use the tool and just remove it from the vehicle, turning it counterclockwise. So as you can see, it does leak just a little bit, so have your bucket ready. Not a whole lot, because it mostly drains through the tube in the middle, but get ready for a little bit of drippage, and then you can remove it completely. Okay, so once you remove it, you'll see the oil filter paper element there in the middle. And I used a little sandwich bag when I was removing it. That kind of helps keep the dripping from getting it all over you when you're doing it. Little trick I used to do with the old style filters. But anyway, that's the paper element that we'll be removing and replacing with the new one. So this is what the mounting to the car looks like after it's cleaned up. Just to show you, there's my 2 index lines that I actually marked with a permanent indentation, so I know kind of where they line up. Okay, so here's the oil filter cartridge housing. You can see the big O-ring actually goes in a groove that you can see right there. You don't want it to rest on the flange that mates to the body of the vehicle, but go into the groove there. It's very easy to see, but some people have mistaken it and put it down at the bottom. So anyway, make sure the O-ring's put there. It's the larger of the two in the parts. And then you can put the other oil drain O-ring in as well there. And you tighten that down. They give Newton meters. I think you can see it, read it there, but I think it's around 18 foot-pounds of torque on the oil drain itself. Nut or whatever at the 3/8. You can also see where I scribed the 2 little notches to line up with the mating surface, just so I get an idea of that, how tight it was originally when the vehicle was brand new. So you can maybe do that if you want, but that'll allow you to get a feel for how tight to make the cartridge housing against the surface of the vehicle. So we'll put the oil filter element in and fill it up with oil and get it back on the vehicle so we can wrap up the job. Okay, so you can see I put the oil filter paper element in, filled it up with oil, torqued down the drain bolt to, like I said, I think it's 25 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds. Filled up the cartridge housing with oil almost to the top, but fill that up. And then we'll mount it back on to the vehicle, use our index marks to know how to tighten it down, and then fill up the car. Okay, so you can see where the index marks that I scribed, sure enough, they went right back on, and had to torque a little bit more to line those up, but that was a nice and snug job and a good idea to have those on there for reference. So now that that's on there, O-rings are all in, everything's tightened down, I can move on. Okay, so with a new gasket, oil drain nut secure, the housing all secured, we're ready to fill it up with oil. Mine took 208 ounces, which is 6.5 quarts of oil to get it basically up to the full mark. So put 208 ounces in and check the dipstick and you're good to go.